So here we are back with Seahorse Films today, everyone, and I'm a really great guest with me today. I'm very pleased to present a writer from Falkirk, Janet Crawford. Janet, I don't know where she gets the energy. She's tireless in as much as she's got a family at home. She has just, congratulations, miss, she's just got a new position with the Federation of Writers Scotland. She works tirelessly in creative writing group work for people with mental health problems. So she has got a very, very tight schedule in general, but she has managed to produce some of the best poetry I've read in a long time. And she's also a short story writer. She's done film poems. She's written plays. So this is a girl with energy to definitely watch, and she's going places in future. I can't wait to read her first collection when it comes out. I'd like to welcome Janet Crawford.
Feet crunch on gravel, raising sound. Breath held, many hearts miss a beat, then go back to foraging for survival. Feet crunch on gravel, raising sound. Small boys freeze, limbs silently slung, hiding in sandbanks, dreams floating. Feet crunch on gravel, raising sound. Breath held, many hearts miss a beat. This poem was written in spring, watching birds in the garden as they looked for food. But it also reminded me of just how many just now are looking for salvation. And we were not seeing, as we sadly are now, the images on the news here of people trying to make their way across from the continent. Sadly, there are small boys hiding in sandbanks, and let's hope these issues are resolved soon. Again, this was written at the height of the time in summer when we really were feeling very, very pulled down by everything that was going on around us. This is clock watching. As dawn's chorus grows each second louder, nightscape slowly forming anew again, I draw upon your certain return, gracing day's end with light till morning comes. Nature doesn't change. She's a steady hand, so she is. The moon and I have become quite acquainted recently. Aye, I've got insomnia, if that's what you call it. I've not been sleeping for weeks right now. I can't sleep. Is it 13, 15, 16? I didn't ken. I've lost track. If I get in good night and 7, I think myself lucky. Christ, my een must be down to my chin. My shoulders are sore of that rounded, I can't stand straight. I feel like I'm shrinking on one side myself. I've not a visitor in months. Nobody's been to see me. Nobody to talk to. It's not that I'm worried for myself. You ken that, don't you? I mean, when's that ever helped me? No. I'm worried for my laddies and that old wife round the corner and they ins at that factory. You ken the place. Hunters work there. Maybe thousands. Oh, I don't know, but it's aye busy. You can't cross the road at lousing time. It's that many cars. I ken that much. Not that it's that busy looking the new mind. And then if I dare to watch the news, it's like a big magnifying glass. I can't hunnle anymore. It's bad enough thinking about my wee town, but it's the next town and the big cities and down south, and it's England, and oh fuck, it's too big for my head. I'm going to watch the moon again. What are you doing up at this time, anyhow?
So that last poem, you decided to use the two voices, and I love the way you started with that very positive thing about nature there, you know, like nature, she doesn't change, she's always solid, you know, that line. Sadly, even that isn't true at the moment because she's changing quite a lot, but I think that relationship with the moon, and starting that in English and then writing, you know, going on to that voice, that very perceptive person, narrator's voice, seeing the small getting bigger and bigger and bigger out to the world of a despairing world, actually. So I think the outdoors seem to be somewhere that she's going back to the moon again. But again, this playing back and forth, what are you doing up anyway? It's a woman whose concerns are familial, community, and then the globe. I absolutely, I could really empathise with that. I think we're in that place just now, as we were talking earlier, just putting the news on this morning. Just for the record, folks, today is probably later today we'll know who the next president of the United States is going to be, or if it's going to be the same president of the United States. So I think most people who are concerned about Brexit and the implications for Brexit of that decision in America, most people are worried about human life in the United States. You know, I'm tired looking today, and I'm tired because I've been plugged in, and I know from talking to Janet that she's the same. So yeah, but nature is the place we have escaped to, and I really enjoy your poems about nature. I love the whole idea of finding a kind of solace and finding some peace from COVID and all these things you clearly are tuned into. Have you made yourself more in nature at the moment in the last while? Have you found yourself more writing about nature or being in nature?
Both, to be honest. I think over the summer, you know, you couldn't go very far, so people were going more walks, they were actually seeing more, but there was a need to actually take in something that was good around us, and we're very lucky with, was it May was just stunningly beautiful. You know, the weather at the time, we all need buoyed up, the weather was just wonderful, and you would go a walk and you could actually see spring coming, you know, and you would sort of make that bit of time at the end of the day that I'm going to go walk now, and I'm really lucky. I live 5 minutes from fields, and you know, I go out every night and I stop and my phone's out and I'm taking photographs left, right and centre, you know, and I just love being in nature. But it's that thing of just slowing yourself down as well and realising that, yeah, just now is very difficult and it's very unpredictable. We don't know what's happening, you know, the whole world's in this similar boat, but nature will happen.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I love about your writing is a kind of entranced quality by nature and by things you see. And I think, you know, for a long time now, I mean, I'm concerned about trying to create perfect moments. And I think sometimes when you actually take yourself out and try and still your mind a little bit, nature's helpful for that. But there's quite a lot of your poetry evidences someone who is actually walking with intent, you know, and seeing with intent. I think all human beings have got the potential for that, but some of us don't. Maybe at the moment we do have. I think, you know, there's something dreamy about your poems. The one I think you're going to read in the second half, you know, with the, you know, this, I find you reach in like a balm, you know, the hue of it. There's a mysterious quality to the way you write about nature and its entrancement, and the sea, you know, all the writing I've ever read of yours has got that kind of, I can't explain, it's not quite setting sight, but a way of seeing beyond what's just there. And I sometimes think at this time, a lot of people I know are investing more just in the smaller details, as you said. So I'm looking forward to hearing your next poems so we can hone in on that again, Janet. And thanks for giving us that lovely Falkirk voice. I know you worry about it, but it's authentic because that's what we do, actually. We do talk. I mean, I'm evidenced as talking sometimes with my Paisley accent, you know, because, and using words from Paisley, because that's where I come from and that's what I grew up in. But all of us, I think, here are speaking a mixture. So I don't think anyone should ever worry, as I know sometimes you do, whether you're getting it right. Believe me, I've been in your informal company and you've got it right. You've got it right, if that's the right terminology. Anyway, we're going to turn back and hear some of your other poems, Janet, if you're ready to give us them. I'm looking forward to
that. I was lucky enough a year past in September to be in Japan for a few weeks. Went to watch the rugby. Scotland didn't win, so we won't go there. But one of the days that we had was we went to a Zen garden, and we were lucky enough to get part of it to ourselves for about 5 minutes, and nobody else appeared. And I just sat there and soaked it in, as Linda has just said. And I apologise to anyone who understands Japanese properly, because I'm probably saying this wrong, but this is my take on Roanji. Roanji. Tracing stone seas to floating rock shores, quieting the out-breath on its release to the trees guarding all. Senses stilled, only the eyes allowed to see currents move from carbonised greys to green. Your palate as rigid as these bones, regimentally holding life together so nothing is wasted, yet colourful enough to last forever. I feel you reach in like balm to caress my soul and realign molecules to quieter summation of my whole. It truly was a magical experience to be there that day. I'd like to finish with a wee piece of writing that came to me when I was on holiday, probably 2 years back now. And basically, I love the East Neuk of Fife. I love being by the sea. I love nature. I've got dogs. I've got a best pal who loves being out and about. And we do nothing more than walk places, settle down, look at the sea, and just take it on, and then go up the road, eat cake and drink wine. So this is St. Monin's Steps. I saw the steps, ramshackle old, and the rickety handrail tell't me maybe you'd trod them too. Oh, I won a flight of sugary daft nonsense went my head, thinking of you and gloriously everlasting sun-filled July days on this same beach, running wild with cousins and wains for half the street, all camped out in lines of oversized bottle green ex-army tents in absolute splendour. Or so it seemed when my granny spoke of all the days, these St. Monin's holidays, when few families would up sticks and gone a war. Nae 5 or 6 folk being considered a big family group back in the days, more like 40. There'd be her young brother, our sisters with husbands, wains, grandwains, nieces, nephews, cousins, and that Wayne ye took with you, because he'd no chance of getting awa otherwise. About halfway down, I saw the name that kicked my daydream into touch, in scraggy letters, proudly but quickly scrawled so as not to get caught. On the rough repaired concrete turn in the stair, it shouted out in absolute bombastic adoration, "Bruce Lee!" And I got another glimpse of you, telly-watching, drunk again. In 70s, sharp-suited boss manner only that would argue with you, fool yourself cocky fucking grandeur. And I remembered that no childhood memories are sugary sweet. I breathed in deep to slow down my breathing and thinking down a bit. Taking in the same salt-tinged air that you'd have breathed in near 70 years afore. And I walked away for the moment and back at my head along St. Monin's beach, where I could escape the reach of childhood memories. Thank you.
Yeah, both of these poems have a very meditative quality, Janet. Do you do meditation, or do you do meditation as part of your walks, or do you feel?
When I'm out walking, I just try and take the time to notice the wee things. I might stop them and just like looking at some berries on the side of a tree or something. You know, they were there yesterday and I walked right past them, but the day there's something about them that says, "Look at me." I'm dreadful at trying to follow things like routine when it comes to things like doing mindfulness and stuff like that. I have colleagues at work who are wonderful at it, and I love sitting in on things when they're doing it. And I keep telling myself I'm going to get more into it, which I'm going to try and do. But for me, it really is just about that thing of I'm in the moment, so I try and actually let it come into me rather than just saying I went a walk as a tick box exercise, right, on to the next thing in my day.
Yeah. I think as well, I think that came through in both these poems is time, you know, and we were saying at the beginning how busy your life is. But, you know, the kind of stilling of moments in the first poem, you know, just letting someone go inside or letting the place go inside, the lotus flower, you can feel someone being taken to some almost transcendental space when you were there, you know. ironically, when you're going for a rugby match, which is for me about the least transcendental you can get. But you know, I thought that was so interesting that you went to this. You know, Japan has got some mystery. I was always into Yukio Mishima and all that, some of the strange work that he did. So I was quite interested in Japanese culture. So you definitely brought it alive, and that sense of, you know, raising yourself and your mindset above it all. And then the second poem where you were in time again, but this time instead of still in time, you were rolling back the years. And the granny just, there's a lot of love comes through in that poem for that woman. You know, you can really feel it coming off, and I respect and appreciation for who she is, taking the way in that wouldn't have got otherwise, even though she had all the other ones with her. You know, that community focus and that no worry about the fact there's tons of them running about there. And then bringing the time forward to contrast with your own, some very negative family memories. So it was lovely seeing you crunching through the sand and walking along that beach and rescuing yourself, it felt like to me, and rescuing yourself further back to the time when it was better. So there's a lot for a woman that's very busy there looking at time. How do you think, in general, writers, one of the things about writing, I think at the moment, is we're having to be part of so many different bodies to be seen or to be supportive of one another. Or, I mean, I spend a lot of time, as you know, trying to work with other people, and I could be at a Zoom conference or a Zoom show almost every night at the moment, and it was the same in the past, going to events. I think it's quite difficult. I wonder what you thought about writers trying to balance up the very needed time to focus, still the mind, and write, with being part of a writing community. Can you say something about
that? I think you have to sort of be very aware of your own energy levels, and like you're saying, you know, I started writing 4 or 5 years ago and realised that there was suddenly this writing scene in Scotland, and started going to events and going here and going there, and then got brave enough to say I've done a few poems, can I maybe read some, and started attending events and actually taking part in them. And you can feel yourself, some weeks you just felt the plug was pulled, you know, so you would say, no, I'm not going anywhere this week, give yourself time to come down. And that was the time when maybe something that had been brewing in your head would come to fruition. I find sometimes doing more menial tasks is really good, because you haven't got that pure protected time to sit and write, but sometimes you do other things, like gardening, for instance. You can give yourself time to let things simmer to the surface and see how they want to look. I think sometimes the work's going to come out whether you want to let it or not.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, the absolute joy is of working alongside so many good friends in Scotland, and knowing that what you're doing is appreciated, but also appreciating the support and help that you get back with your writing, because that's certainly what's helped me to come on.
Yeah,
So
and
for
I
me,
think,
it really
it's interesting you're saying about that. It's not dead time, but you know what I'll do is go walking, and sometimes instead of focusing, sometimes I have to focus on what I'm looking at and the way we've spoken about, but sometimes I take a story in my head with me, and literally you're letting it fall into place as you walk about, and then you can come home. I'm always advising people I work with to just sit for a couple of hours, put flowers on the table, put a nice cup of tea and a nice cup and saucer. Be good to yourself, you know. Let's cheers, put them together. Oh. Yeah, so be good to yourself and then get out, because the getting out is as important as sitting writing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get stuck. But I think it's also very difficult, as you say, to be part of that supportive environment that we have, to support and be supported and find time. It is a hard one. It really is a hard one to manage. But as you say, that stuff's going to come out either way. So you can either run yourself into the ground. It's good when you say you've got the plug pulled. You know, I'm sometimes not great at that myself. I'm getting better, and I think perhaps, I don't like to say COVID's been good for anything, but it might be good for that, insofar as that we have had to curtail a lot of the energy required to go places and get on and off buses, or, you know. But anyway, so I am greatly appreciative of how much you're managing to do for other people, Janet, and I know that you've made a lot of difference where you live to people that you work with in these groups, and I know that you go towards your job with grace and gifting, so they'll really appreciate that, and I'm very appreciative of just listening to your poems today, and I hope you get a chance to get your own collection out in the next 6 months. Anything I can do to help, I'll be doing it. So, folks, you've been listening to Janet Crawford today, wonderful poet and a wonderful woman. So when you see that collection, make sure you get onto your computer and buy it. So she'll be out with a collection soon, and it's been lovely to have her here in our Seahorse Films. Janet, thank you very much for coming along today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Meanwhile, look after yourselves, and let's hope tomorrow morning we have a different president in the United States of America. There, I've called it.